I want to give a preview to the gospel. We're going to start with a survey. So look at the screens. Those are the Ten Commandments. Now, I had to memorize them in 4th grade here at St. Bridget's Parish. You probably memorized them as well. I want to see which one you think is the most important or the greatest. Let's start with the first. I'm the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. How many of you think that's the most important commandment? Raise your hand if you think so. Okay, very good. Second, you should not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. How many think that's the most important? Okay. Third, remember to keep holy the Lord's Day. How many think that's the most important? To go to church on Sundays. Fourth, honor your father and your mother. I see some parents raising their hands. Fifth, you shall not kill. Pretty important, yeah, a few hands there. Sixth, you shall not commit adultery. Okay, some spouses raising their hand. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Do you think that's most important? Lying. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. And you shall not covet your neighbor's goods. So how many of you did not raise your hand at all? You're right, because that's what Jesus said. Let's go over that again. It said a scholar of the law wanting to test Jesus. So this wasn't an honest questioner, inquirer. He's trying to trick Jesus. He said, which commandment in the law is the greatest? So this was the trick he was trying to set up, the trap. No matter which commandment Jesus picked, they could say, so the others aren't that important, huh? So if Jesus said, thou shalt not kill, that's the most important one. Some of you said that. They'd come back and say, okay, Jesus, it's okay to commit adultery then, huh? Is that all right? Now with all of you, a lot of you said the first commandment. And I'll give you B+ for that. That's pretty close to what Jesus said. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Or the first commandment, I am the Lord your God, you love no other gods besides me. So because you said that was the most important, I could come back and say, so I guess it's all right to cuss all you want, huh? You didn't, Again, that was the trap, and Jesus didn't fall for the trap. He knew what they were going to do. No matter which commandment he picked, they'd come back and say, so you just throw away all the others? Now, in Jesus' time, in the Jewish law book called mitzvah, there were 613 laws. So not just the 10 commandments you saw up on screens, but 613 laws. And they wanted Jesus to pick out one of those 613, and he said, no. I'll tell you the one. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. But he couldn't stop with one. They didn't ask him for two. He said, well, I got to give you a second one because they're inextricably connected. We can't separate them. You have to love God. If you love God, you love everyone God has made. That means every human being. So he broke it down to two. Love God, love neighbor. Now, that's 2,000 years ago. So the Catholic Church has come along with our own laws, not 613. Here's the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Jewish people had 613 laws. We have 2,865. This is the law book. So if you want to buy it, go on Amazon and buy it. If you have insomnia, it's a great cure. It's a great cure. This book is not meant to be read cover to cover, like a novel or biography, whatever. It's a reference book. So look in the table of contents for what you need to find out. Look in the index, whatever. Now, the United States Catholic bishops said this is way too long. 2,865 laws, 803 pages. 803 pages. So the United States Catholic bishops said, we're going to come up with a Reader's Digest version. 637 pages, yeah. Those are the law of the church. But Jesus would say today, as he said 2,000 years ago, those laws are good. They govern every activity of the Catholic Church. But let me make it simple. Love God, love your neighbor. That's all we have to do. As simple as that. So let's look at those 10 commandments again and see how we put those into the 2 commandments of Jesus. Love God, the first 3. I'm the Lord your God. You have no other gods besides me. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Keep holy the Lord's day. That all has to do with love God, the first 3. The next 7 all have to do with loving your neighbor. Honor your parents. Do not kill, commit adultery, steal, lie, or covet. So every law, we can always say somehow it's either showing love of God or love of neighbor. That's what it means. Let me break down what Jesus said. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. With all your heart means, whom do you love most in your life in this world? Now, hopefully, spouses, you love each other very much. Parents love their children and vice versa. Siblings try to love each other. We should love our friends. We love other things. We love Las Vegas. We love the United States. We love pasta. We love ice cream and whatever. But the most important love we should have right from the heart here is God. God should be loved above all things. That doesn't mean you spend more time loving God. The thing most of us spend most time doing is sleeping. We sleep about 8 hours a day. It's about a third of our lives. It's sleeping. So it's not quantity, not how many prayers you do or how long your prayers are, but quality, the depth of your prayer, the depth of your love for God. To love God with all your soul means that God is your soul mate, your partner, your best friend, your moderator, your guide, your mentor. And that means you have to have a relationship with God. And how do we build up relationships with people here on earth? We spend time with them. We talk to them. Hopefully spending time with God isn't just 9:30 Mass on a Sunday morning, but throughout the week, hopefully you pray to God often. That's what conversation with God is called, prayer. So what are your Catholic devotions? Reading the Bible, saying the Rosary, making the Novena, praying in our Blessed Sacrament Chapel over there. Many ways to love God with your soul, with your spiritual relationship. And lastly, Jesus said, love God with all your mind, meaning all the things that we do as human beings. I guess animals have brains, but they pretty much live their life by instinct. Our mind means that we can do things, we can create things, we can advance technology, and so on. Are all your words, all your actions, all your activities truly Christ-like? To love God with your whole mind, your whole human person. So that's the first commandment. Put God above everything else. And again, we have to say the second. John wrote that in one of his letters. Don't tell me you love God whom you can't see, and don't love your neighbor whom you do see. Hypocrites. We have to love everything God made. Everything God made. So how important that is. To love our neighbor as ourselves. What does that mean? Well, Jesus put it another way. We call it the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. How would you want people to do for you? You want them to love you. You want them to forgive you when you made a mistake. You want them to help you out when you're in trouble. You want them to be there when you're lonely. So if that's what you want from your friends, then return that to your friends as well. Do to them the way you would like to be treated and loved and forgiven. Jesus tried to make it real simple. Love God, love your neighbor. He could have made it even simpler just with one word, love. So we're baptizing 3 children today. Parents and godparents, the best thing you can teach these children, more important than any other school subject or manners or etiquette, whatever, is how to love. How to love God, how to love their neighbor. If you do that, beginning with their baptism today, throughout their childhood and teenage years and young adult life, they'll be wonderful women and men because you taught them the most basic thing that Jesus said, love. Love God, love your neighbor. That's it.